On the Brooklyn Bridge tonight, voices strong, knowledge tight, thorough black talk in the air, changing minds, changing flair. From Brother Tad to Sister K, warriors got things to say. Sister Marcia brings the heat, Brother Blacksmith keeps the beat. Revolutionary waves they fly underneath the open sky. Every word's a call to fight. Tune in, feel the ancestral line. Thursday nights, the world will see Black Power Media on the screen. Facebook, YouTube, all align, breaking free from every bind. Social talk and politics, every voice breaks through the matrix. Commentary raw and true, for the many, not the few. Revolutionary waves they fly underneath the open sky. Every word's a call to fight. Tune in, feel the ancestral line. Ancestral line.
Staying strong on the bridge tonight. We got dreams and we got fight. Voices loud in the city's light. Change is coming into sight. History told by scars and pain. Echoes deep in every name. Legal truths we must reclaim. Through the storm and through the rain. Thorough black talk review. With Brother Tad, Sister K, Sister Marcia, Brother Blacksmith. Cut the check or no vote, yeah. Justice calls from open skies. Tears that fall, ain't no disguise. Marching forward, no surprise. Strength in hearts you can't downsize. Every voice a sweet refrain. In this fight we share the strain. Through the joy and through the pain, bound together like a chain. Thorough black talk review. With Brother Tad, Sister K, Sister Marcia, Brother Blacksmith. Cut the check or no vote, yeah.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, family. Welcome to another edition of Thorough Black Talk with your Sister K Fighter, Brother Tad, Sister Marcia, and Brother Blacksmith. We are back. We are back. We were off a week. We are back. A lot has happened in just a week. I can't wait to get into it. I can't wait. I mean, I leave y'all for 1 week and things go awry. You got Charlie Kirk down. You got mass shootings in Colorado. You got HBCUs facing terroristic threats. So much more. We're going to get into it tonight, family. And so, without further ado, my brother from another mother, co-founder of the OG Wisdom Podcast, Brother Tad, up on the Brooklyn Bridge. What's happening, brother?
Peace. How the family doing? How everybody feeling today?
Good, brother, good. Glad to be back with all of you because so much has happened in the past week, including, some health challenges that I had to face. And so, but I'm back like a crack addict, baby. Can't nothing hold me down. You understand that?
That's a fact.
For
That
those
Brooklyn
who
blood.
don't know, there you go, brother Tad. Let them know we about that life for real. And so I can't wait to get into it. Let's get my sister Marcia, Africans on the Rise, very own, up on the Brooklyn Bridge.
Peace, family. How's everybody feeling today?
Peace, sis. How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm better than most, and I'm up above. So, Sister Keisha, how are you?
I'm doing well, sis. I'm doing well.
Good to
Like I
hear.
said, glad to be black. Brother Blacksmith, are you ready? Welcome to the Brooklyn Bridge, our brother Anunnaki himself. Speaking of which, a lot of commentary has been going on about the Anunnaki, but let's get the Bronx up on the Brooklyn Bridge. Brother Blacksmith, what's happening?
Shots bot. That's for Tad. Peace, Sister Marcia. Peace, Sister Keisha. How are you?
I'm good, brother. Like I said, glad to be back. Good to see you as well. First, let me give some shout outs to those who were concerned about K Fighter and checking up on me during this challenging health crisis of which I had to face. And so I thank each and every one of you who reached out with your concern. My sister Marcia, she wasn't going for the text messages. She was like, "You better call me so I can hear your voice." But I'm glad that she did that. Also,
she altering your behavior, Sister Keisha. She altering your behavior. She told me about that 2 weeks ago.
I don't know what that means, but I'm gonna mind my black business because I don't want no trouble.
Yeah, I was waiting for clarity too.
I'm just being cool.
And I said, I kind of miss Brother Black, but he came in the door starting this stuff. I said, oh man, I can't even miss my brother decently before he start with his stuff. I said, oh boy, maybe we need another one. You got it, sis. That's what's up. Sound effects in that.
You gotta laugh. You gotta laugh in these trying times, because so much is happening, brother. And also, kudos to all of my family members who are checking on me each and every day, making sure I'm all right. They are, my backbone, my strength, and my resource for real. And so I thank my cousins, my aunts and uncles, my siblings, my child who constantly checking on me every day, my grandson. Children are so funny. I got to tell y'all a story about my grandson off air. I will tell y'all. But it's just the inquisitiveness of children. So let's give some shout outs real quick. Sister Donna, Brother Kerwin, Alabama on the bridge. What's happening? Sister Joyce, Brother Monty, Suffolk County, always on the check-in. Aruba 927, Doggy Diamonds TV Mars. Yes, indeed. I missed y'all last week as well. And definitely appreciate you loving the intro. I'm working on something else for the next couple of weeks, actually. As I said, with the track, I created various versions of this track, whether it's a drill beat, whether it's classic hip hop, even got heavy metal and rock and roll, all of it. because we must reclaim all of our music. Oh yeah, I might play that a little bit later, just for y'all to hear it. Peace to Sister Farnessa, always on the check-in. Alabama plays no games, no games, no games at all. Uncle Jesse on the check-in. Aunt Marie, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Oh, yes, yes, yes. Give shout outs to the audience. Yes. Love on each other. That's what I'm talking about. Love on each other. That's what we need. Brother Terrell Evans. Yes, salute to you, my brother. I can't wait to get into it. Sister Brooke, you know, there was a public commission hearing on reparations that was virtual this week. And of course, Sister Brooke and myself, along with some others, gave our testimonies, but it never fails. You always got those folks who want to come in and start the shenanigans. And so hopefully, if not this week, we will go over that, because there is another one coming, I believe next week or the week after, in upstate New York, in Ithaca. And we are going to try to make that one as well. And so
you got to give us a little bit, because I couldn't get in. I was sitting with clients all day. I was like, damn, I want to get in the Zoom, but I'm sitting with the clients. I'm like, oh, yeah.
They didn't let me in.
They wouldn't let you in? Because you're not FBA.
That's all right. But I heard a lot of non-FBA people were in the house.
But see, you wasn't cooning. They wasn't gonna let you in because you wasn't gonna coon.
Right, Sister Marcia. You on code. And then let people not on code come up on and talk. You know what I mean? So you on code. You know, Brother Black, y'all on code. So they gonna screen y'all for real. Brother Rich, nice. What's happening, brother? What's happening? Hope all is well with you. Again, let's get into it, family, because we got a lot to discuss. I want to start out with recent developments of the shooting and the unaliving of Charlie Kirk, who is a right-wing commentator, or was, I should say, a commentator on various political avenues, although he was always often wrong but strong. So today, I found it very interesting that the national flag was lowered on his behalf. What do you guys think about what happened with Charlie Kirk in Utah?
Chickens coming home to roost.
Hello.
It's almost poetic justice. You know, I try not to be celebratory publicly and keep a lot of my emotions in check, because, you know, we can make more enemies than. However, we know we stand strong in our position, and this is how the universe works. And I mean, to take a page out of Brother Black's book, as we enter into the fifth dimension, I mean, we joke about it, but the reality is we are speaking things into existence. And how poetic was it that in the midst of him trying to shift the blame about mass shootings and put it on gang violence, which is synonymous with the N-words for Negroes. Because every time they say gangs, they make it synonymous with Black folks, always ignoring that they're the inventors of gangs. But it's just, it makes me be more mindful, Sister Keisha, on what I celebrate, how I speak, and the things I say, because our words do have power. We know that. And the older we get, the longer we're on this planet, we start to see things unfold and unravel. And unfortunately for him, in his young 31 years, I mean, he's younger than some of my children. Mm-hmm. So he's like a little baby to me. So he didn't have enough life experience to understand that with our tongue, we speak life and death. You know, so I'm just curious to watch how this unfolds, who was a part of it, because we can't forget the attempts on Trump, the deletion attempts on the president. So there is a civil war going on, as we always talk about. That's why I always express the importance of our votes and our voting power, because the thing is, this has always been going on between two groups of white folks, and they use our votes as the balance of power. So we got to be mindful, mind our business a little bit, see how this play out while we huddle and formulate our plans to move forward. Because it's about to get, it's going to get greater later, but it's going to get worse first. You know, so let's just keep our head on the swivel.
And shout out to Brother Ray Ray before we let Sister Marcia go. Shout out to Brother Ray Ray and the BK Mackey History Club. I want to personally thank them or him for hosting our brother from the UK, Brother Savraj.
Yes.
Unfortunately, because of health issues, I was not able to make it. But I am definitely appreciative of Brother Ray Ray and the BK Mackey History Club.
Definitely.
And please follow them on YouTube so that you can see all of the great lectures that Brother Ray Ray presents. And so don't do yourself a disservice and not do that. So again, Brother Ray Ray, publicly, I want to thank you for that.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And me and Sister Marcia, we was there representing TBT to the fullest.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Always good to see my sister.
Shout out to knowledge. Shout out to learning from each other, from wherever we're from. You know, it was, I don't want to move off topic, but I just want to say this part. You know, back in the days of our ancestors, right, those who have dearly departed, they used to communicate about what's happening on the ground in their neighborhoods, right? And Brother Salaj brought in home the comparisons of, you know, he brought out a whole bunch of statistics. I came in late, but even with the stats that I was able to come across, they parallel. So we're fighting a fight that if we unite, we can fight well, but we choose to, you know, separate and create all these types of divisions because we don't really want to see that it's the same everywhere, and let's get it together. But on this Kirk guy and the flag at half mast until Sunday, it's very, very strange. You know, Brother Black always talks about these public sacrifices that are happening and all of these things. And I would be remiss for us not to forget that, or for us to always remember that Malcolm was killed in front of his wife and his children, let alone a pregnant wife and his children, and all these people that are crying and doing all of this, you seem to forget that this man, who we technically do not honor as well as we should, Malcolm X, was assassinated in front of his wife, pregnant wife, and children.
And his young children.
Babies. They were all under 10. So for us to sit there and do big ups for this man who, he had some truths and he had some lies, but no matter what, he was not for us. And the man that was for us, we denounce, we don't celebrate, we don't give back enough. So that's what I wanted to say on that. Brother Black?
Profound take for both of y'all. Y'all know I'm going to be the odd man out on this one. I'm questioning whether, yeah, there you go. I'll take that. I'm questioning whether this actually happened because, like, and my comparison is Tad's when he said about the president being shot last year. We all know that was a false flag psyop, whatever you want to call it. Because they need distractions and big things are going. I believe that they're doing psyops in order to distract us. So whether Charlie Kirk got hit or not, in reality, it doesn't really matter to us as a people because he wasn't for us, like Sister Marcia just said. And they need the distractions and why they showed the brother killing the Ukrainian chick on the train that happened late August. That didn't even happen in September, you know, and then they showing it after a certain time. So what is the narrative between blacks and Ukrainians based on just that one thing? And then this other thing happening. It's like 9/11 wasn't even, it's like 9/11 didn't even happen today because of Charlie Kirk. You know, and then the half-mast thing and all this and that. So I'm questioning the timing of it, because why didn't it happen July 10th or August 10th or October 10th? Why did it happen 9/10? I deal with that.
And you know what, Black, and to add on what you're saying, because I definitely love what our sister Marcia just put down in terms of Brother Malcolm. But in addition to what you just laid down and what I'm thinking, this is just my thoughts, it's not steeped in facts, but it's to keep the momentum of the sympathy and the patriotism going. Because as sure enough as you call this a psyops, I don't know if it is or isn't. I do know that then when they do stage things or these things really do happen, it's to create a certain energy sphere. It's to create this thing of we all have to move this way. Let's all feel sorry. Let's all feel sad. And we know 9/11 to be one of the biggest psyops in our lifetime, you know. So to keep in step with the psyops, I would think, and again, this is just me guesstimating, that they would do it on November 10th to put it together with 9/11 to keep it as if their way of life is under attack. And notice I said their way of life, because we know that there are two different Americas, a Black America and a white America. And we know what white America stands for, what they represent, how they give it up. That's why Charlie, I was about to call him Sheen, Charlie Kirk is being honored in this way. As well as much they honor Charlie Sheen for being a crackhead and a deviant, like, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, I mean, this is the spirit of their America. And what we see right now is all the BS unfolding. See, and I'm going to pass the mic to Sister Keisha after I make this statement. But those of us who are Gen Xers, we lived through so much history, through so much recorded history that's going to outlive us for centuries. I'm talking about the shuttle bomb, the shuttle explosion, the space shuttle explosion. What's that? The Challenger? 9/11, the advent of hip hop, the first quote unquote Black president, and some other things I'm quite sure we can name if we put deep thoughts into it. But I say that to say that this is how they control the energy. And those of us who've been around long enough, we've seen this three-card money game before. As you said, Brother Black, it's a distraction. From what, we don't know. But I tell you one thing, I was definitely compelled to open the book, Behold the Pale Horse, and revisit that. Sister Keisha?
Great perspectives from everyone. And again, like I said, you know, things come full circle. And, you know, when Sister Marcia says, you know, you have to be careful of your words, because words can manifest into real life situations. And I hope that everyone sees that, including this young man, who, if you remember the debate with Amanda Seals, yes, and a bunch of others, as Malcolm will say, house Negroes and tethers. That's our word, not his. But this young guy from Angola, or whose parents are from Angola, was championing white tea supremacist talking points, and took a picture right after that with Charlie Kirk. And so when I saw that, I immediately started looking for, you know, people from the diaspora who were in mourning of Charlie Kirk. Let's play this clip and we'll come right back.
Oh my God. Oh my God, Charlie. Charlie. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I had to stop that. But I just wanted y'all to see the foolery that's going on.
I'm sorry.
The foolery that's going on around here. And so I had to play that clip for everybody to see. Yes, Sister Marcia, your thoughts.
Buffering. Oh, sorry. So the only thing I wanted to say is like, yes, clown, number one. But two, watching the footage, you know, depending, and I know people are like, oh, sympathy, whatever. But watching it happen can evoke some emotion. So I would say just from watching it. But if you're someone who plays Call of Duty, if you're, you know, like these young people always, they are immune to it. They were just like, oh, you know, but the scene itself, just watching it, I jumped back when when I first saw it, I was like, oh. So on that point, I could say maybe she could cry on that. But anything else about the situation, she's a little lunatic, because Malcolm X, again, I must remind everyone, Malcolm X was assassinated in front of his pregnant wife and children under 10 years old. So let's just always remember that as we talk about this topic today.
Definitely. He was assassinated at the Audubon Ballroom, the same place where the first West Indian Day Parade took place. But they don't talk about that history. However, we did, and you guys can check the archives for those who may have missed it. You know, I find it very interesting that, you know, his commentary as of late was talking about he or anyone is more likely to be shot in a Black neighborhood. But however, he was unalived in a predominantly white state, predominantly white city. There's a few Black people there, Brother Sam.
Like 2. Was it like 1%? What is the population of Black people in Utah?
And they both married the white people.
Yeah, right, Brother Black. You heard what he said, sis?
I did not.
He's saying they both married to white people, the Black people in Utah. But I want to speak to the woman crying, the psychosis of it all. First of all, we always gonna question people who grab the first thing they do is grab the phone, turn it on, and then start crying. All right, I question your mental stability in itself. But did she not hear that Charlie Kirk said that anytime he sees a Black woman, he has, and in a professional place, he has to wonder, is she qualified to do the job? That's racist within itself. Anytime he sees a Black woman, he questions if she's qualified or is she a DEI? And I thought that was insulting to Black women in itself.
That is absolutely insulting. But as a person who worked in corporate America in publishing, they question every Black woman, and every Black woman in publishing worked 5 times as hard and was disrespected all the time. So she was clowning, and I agree. Like, what kind of shippiness? You're going through something, your phone is not the first thing to pick up. Find a friend, call a friend, and don't text a friend. Tell your friend, pick up the phone, let me hear your voice so we could, you know, talk this out. Call a friend.
That sounds personal.
No, it's not personal. I'm just saying too many people rely on texting versus calling people in their time of crisis, and that's not going to assist you through your crisis.
And as of 2023, 2.1% of Utah is populated by Black people. It's only 2.1% of Black people in Utah. So yeah, lily white.
Also, the polygamy hub of the United States, the state of Warren Jeffs and the Jessup family, that is where they reside. And so you can't really rule that out as well. But as of late, some information has come about this shooting of Charlie Kirk. Let's hear this from ABC News.
Is asking for help identifying this man who they are calling a person of interest in the shooting of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Sources tell ABC News ammunition found with the rifle was engraved with messages about transgender issues and anti-fascist ideology. Meanwhile, President Trump says he plans to speak to Kirk's family this afternoon. Our Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas, has more on that. Pierre, what's the latest on this photo?
Diane, well, here's what we have and here's what we know. This picture is being put out by the FBI and law enforcement because they believe this is a person that they very much want to talk to. I'm told by sources it's from surveillance footage in and around the area where the shooting took place. And you can see this appears to be a male person wearing sunshades and a baseball cap. The FBI very much wants to talk to that person, and they're asking for the public's help in identifying this person so that they can get access to them and begin to interview them. Again, they want the public's help to identify this person so that they can talk to him. This person is being described to me as a person of interest.
The FBI is asking for help.
And so, again, to Charlie Kirk's point, saying that it was more likely that he would be unalived by someone who looks like those of us on this panel. It was totally the opposite. So I want to know what will be the talking points of the Black conservatives, if you will, of that ilk. Let me be clear, of that ilk.
Right.
I want to know what their talking points are going to be now. So it's going to be very interesting as things unfold, but I am grateful, grateful that it wasn't none of us, that we out of that, even though there are murmurings of disdain for us, even though we had nothing to do with that. And so my fear, or not my fear, but from what I know, I am warning you, Black man, be careful on these streets. Do not be outside if you don't have to, because there are going to be some crazy things that are going on. And I don't want you all caught up in the midst. As you know, law enforcement begins to ramp itself up yet again. I understand the plight of the Black man as it relates to law enforcement and how they operate towards you in this society. But I want our sisters to also understand this. As the Black man suffers racism and aggressionist attacks from law enforcement, Black women face the same in hospitals. And that's something that nobody talks about. That is our police. When Black women enter a hospital, it is very likely she might not come out. And you have to have your wits about you. You have to be the spook who sat by the door. If you know Black women who are going into hospitals, whether it is for treatment, to have children, it is imperative, brothers, that you are there. That you are there. Because we face the death the same way you do on the streets, but people don't like to talk about that. And until we understand that if the mother of civilization is not protected, you will not be protected. Because you see, it's like a bully, right? Your bully will bully you, take your school lunch from you, might pop you in the head and get the crew to go along to jump on you and everything else. But if you don't stand up against this bully, you're going to always be his sucker. And I have to say this to our brothers who see themselves as the warrior class. Who are you warring with? You cannot be warring with each other. When your natural enemy is looking you in your face, when I look at the numbers of missing Black women and children, because I'm saying all of this because I've been watching some of the commentary about the National Guard coming into places like DC, Chicago, and other places, and I see some brothers agitating or wanting them to come, not for protection, but for a challenge. Where was that energy for Ricky your boy? Where was that energy for Corin Gaines? Where was that energy for Sandra Bland? You understand where I'm going with this. And I keep saying this. It doesn't matter how good you are, how much money you have. If you live in a society that can seize it from you at will, including your family. We're going to talk about the racism in the courts. There were some judges who caught some attorneys trying to be caught CPS rather, for trying to force some attorneys to lie before a panel of judges to make sure it happens. We got to pay attention to these things, because as the school years begin to start down south last month, up north this month, there are going to be a lot of Karen teachers out there who are going to be looking at your children, and from the slightest disagreement or feeling of angst, they're going to call law enforcement on your children. And until you face this animal in the courts and in the streets, you will always be the world's sucker. And I have to say that because I see where things are going. And I love my FBA brothers, in particular, because you are uniting now like never before. And that is a problem for a lot of people. You keep uniting as you are. Keep pushing the good foot forward. Like when I watch OG Wisdom podcast, they are trying to deter our brothers and sisters from that street degeneracy. That is problematic for the status quo. And so you have to be on guard, because when you think people are not watching you, they are. You know, there is a common thread between those of us who are really doing something and what we are facing, opposed to those who are just talkers. And you better start paying attention. Please do so, because I don't want any of you caught off guard, unmistaken, ill-informed, not paying attention. You know, one of the things that I know from talking to, in particular, men who were in the military, doesn't matter the branch, but who were in the military, and they will tell you that a protected nation is a nation they don't want to mess with. A seriously protected nation. Everybody is protecting their own. Like here in New York, you can go to Chinatown. They've set up their own police departments without permission. They just did it. You go into Crown Heights in the Shamram, the Jewish sect. They are there protecting their own. You must do the same. Now you can keep playing with yourself if you want to, but you are going to have to answer for this if you are the warrior class. And for the sisters, you better stop the foolishness that you are engaging in when it comes to how you treat your children and how you respect yourselves and move about your community, because nobody in their right mind is going to protect trash. If you behave like trash, you don't deserve protection. You deserve everything that you get. When I look at these court shows, and I love court shows, and I'm not talking about your Judge Judy's and your Mathises and all that. I'm talking about real court shows, and you can find there's a myriad of them on YouTube. I see brothers and sisters come into the courtroom disheveled, wearing unnecessary clothing, being chastised for the way that your garments that you wear are looking. Women in tank tops with all of your boobs out and a bonnet. You got brothers with ripped up jeans and t-shirts with all kind of sayings, Even on Zoom court, you got brothers who are laying in their bed and your life is on the line. Your money is on the line and you are playing games. There is a thing called conduct of the court. Read it. Matter of fact, there's a video on YouTube, maybe about 5 minutes long. Conduct of the court. When you come into a courtroom, that is a battlefield. It is not for chatter. Know your wits about yourself. Only answer questions that you are asked. Minimal at best. If you have an attorney, let your attorney do the speaking for you. Shut your damn mouth. You do not banter with a judge. Shut your damn mouth. Because the more you talk, and any attorney worth his salt will tell you the worse your condition is going to get. Because you don't know the rules of engagement when it comes to court. This is something I watch every day, whether it's New York State courts going against judicial powers. I watch all of that all day long. And for all of you who say you're sovereign, you are a goddamn fool. You are a liar and a fool. And you got people out here who watching these dumbass YouTube videos, going to a court of law and regurgitating that stuff and getting themselves jammed up in fees and jail time, regurgitating nonsense. And none of these folks who are out there telling y'all that are there in the courtroom to help your dumbass. You better know conduct of the court and rules of engagement. I'm gonna get off my soapbox because I want us to do better.
You know,
Keisha, real.
Okay, Brother Black.
No, I just wanted to say, I thought where you were going, I'm going to be real quick, Brother Tad. I thought where you were going when you was talking about court was about the sister that showed up to court in pajamas and a bonnet. I saw that video yesterday.
That's one of many.
Yeah, I saw that one too. You know, sis, and to add on to what you're saying, because I'm in total agreement, and it's the holistic approach. And I'm thankful for you, Sister Keisha, and our sister Marcia, and our sisters in the chat, and our sisters who watch us on the playback, who find value in what we're putting down. Because I love Black women. God knows I do. Love them so much, I created a few myself. Came from some, made some more. We don't got enough Black women on the planet. But when I see how our sisters was trying to drag Kelly Price, you know, for her outfit, leave that woman alone. When I went to see my grandmother a couple of weeks ago, and I watched what the sisters was wearing in the airport, only my sisters. How do you protect people who put themselves in harm's way, who don't know what's appropriate and what's inappropriate? You disrespect yourself, but then you beg the world to respect you. But then you won't even respect your own sister. You talk crazy about everybody because it's often Black women dragging Black women. What's the little Olympic girl, Gabby? What's her name? Help me out, Sister Marcia. The little sister,
about Sha'Carri Richardson.
Not
Sha'Carri
just her.
Richardson.
Douglas.
Gabby Douglas. Remember, people was talking about her hair and how she shows up. And it's just painful. It's just painful because everybody wants to be respected, and I want to respect my sisters, but some of them I just have to ignore. Sister Keisha, they was walking through the airport with booty shorts, Crocs, flip-flops, doobie wraps, bonnets. Everybody like they just got out of bed or on their way to the beach in the airport. And I said, I get it now. The world sees us because I'm in the international airport from JFK down to Atlanta. Both of those are international airports. You got people traveling all parts of the world, but what do they see when they see us? Like you said, Sister Keisha, even showing up in court where you know you're supposed to show up decent, like picking up your children at school, looking crazy. I was looking at some sisters the other day just outside in their pajamas. I'm like, people still doing this? So you're outside running the streets and you know they're going to go home and jump right into bed. But if you say something, mind your business, you hate black women, you know I love you enough to tell you when you're wrong. And a lot of our sisters be wrong. And I put some blame on the brothers too, man. Because those sisters are low-hanging fruit. You give them the attention they're looking for, you making them feel like they the cream of the crop, and it's the bottom of the barrel, man. They the malt liquor of this whole thing. You know, you just come with a black and mild and something to drink, and you in there. Come on, when we really gonna rise to the challenge? You know, I see brothers doing the drop the flag challenge right now. I commend that. And I pray that more brothers drop their flags, you know, in terms of the gang violence in the community. You know what I mean? Because we have to age out of that juvenile mindset. As we see the world is moving on, the world is moving a lot faster. We are witnessing people come take jobs that we could have. Look what's out in Georgia. 450 people got jammed up at Hyundai, where they came through and grabbed up all them Asian folks. Like, nah, y'all up out of here.
Yeah, but they grabbed up all the Asian folks where all the instructions, that's the same thing they were talking about on the continent. All the instructions are in that language. Those folks were supposed to be training people, probably us, probably some of them.
But now we go down.
Now we ain't got no more training. Now no more cars.
But no, now we go down there because the government is involved. And it's got to be a certain way you operate. What are we saying? Like, if you want to drive trucks, if you want to do anything in this country, it got to be in English.
Well, shouldn't that mandate have been in place when the foreign entity came in, building a factory with foreign instructions?
Yeah, but Trump arguing with them people over there about that now. You know, let's just hope it works out. But I say that to say that the brothers should be on point, ready to get the jobs, go get skills. Like, I'm employed, but I see all of these training programs for brothers without education, brothers just coming out of prison, and not enough people take advantage of it, sis. And I say that because, and thank you, Sister Keisha, for recognizing OG wisdom, because what me and Gutter tried to do in our attempt is most people know we from the streets, we from the soil, we from that element, we from that mindset, we're from that environment. And we're trying to give them a different perspective, help facilitate their paradigm shift, that just because you think in street culture and that's your world, it doesn't have to be that. That is a bubble. Where you think your hood is the world, that is a bubble. The world is so much bigger than that. It feels good to go other places without having to watch over your shoulder, worrying about somebody running down you, worrying about the ops. I remember when we had beef with people in Sister Keisha projects, we had to go downtown strapped up, and that stuff ain't cool. Because not only are you worrying about the ops, you got to worry about the police too. So how do you really relax? So you talking about you stressing, you got anxiety, the first thing you want to do is grab a blunt and grab a drink now to quote unquote medicate your anxiety. But how about you make different decisions and say, I'm not even putting myself in that lifestyle no more. It's played out, it's old. Sister Keisha will tell you now, the dudes I used to have issues with, we cool now. We look at each other as brothers now. And nobody could imagine we used to be picking up weapons, going after each other. Seriously. You know what I mean? But that's called maturity and growth. And within that maturity and growth, we practice forgiveness. We forgiving each other. Because it ain't like dudes ain't bleed and stuff like that. But as men, we want to raise our children. We want to see our grandchildren grow up. But how can you do that behind bars or 6 feet in the ground? So we really have to change the way we view things. And this goes to the little dudes in Chicago that think they're ready for the National Guards. Please stop. I heard them say, we got switches, we got switches. They don't know the military got some shit where they push a button, your heart stop. Seriously, they're not making that part up.
And the sad thing is that when, people's grandfathers or fathers came back from the Korean War, the Vietnam War, were ready to help train us, what they do? Flood the streets with all types of drugs, heroin,
like they're doing now.
and
That
all of
fentanyl
that.
is serious.
Right. And so it's that we know the playbook. We are supposed to not repeat it. And again, it's about having that education, because to decipher what had happened, like some of our children, we see our children, some of them are good, a lot of them are not. And
Right.
they need some formation, and they need us to guide them to, here's where you're finding solid information about who you can become. Check out OG, check out brothers who are really talking about things that's going to transform your life outside of what everybody else is doing. And yeah, I get it. Everybody else is doing this, and I'm the lone soldier. But if you care about yourself first, then you could care about everybody else. But it first comes with self. I was even having this conversation with my son. He was like, "Oh, you're so selfish." I said, "I am not selfish. I care about me first, and then I care about everyone else. If you don't care about yourself and you caring about somebody else loving you and caring about you, that's your problem. But don't project your energy on me because you think I'm selfish because I want to do something for myself and not for everybody else." No, me first. Me.
You're 100%
and then
right.
everyone else. And I think we kind of misunderstand what self-care means, and sometimes people look at it as, oh, you're being selfish by saying no to someone or doing something. But at some point you have to place yourself first, and this capitalist society places the dollar first, places everything first, and then you're at the bottom.
You're the residual.
Yeah. Oh, you gotta go to the grocery store. You gotta go do this. You are tired. And then unfortunately, you get a heart attack or you die young because you never took time to take care of yourself. And let me tell you, family, taking care of yourself does not mean going to the spa. Going to the spa is a good thing, but that's not the only way that we take care of ourselves.
Sis, I told little Tad years ago, you got to be selfish. As an adult now, he came to me and said, I never knew what you meant when you used to always say, think about yourself. Don't worry about what I say, what your mama say. Do what's in your best interest. And now he gets it because he's an adult. He got 2 sons. I'm proud of him, excellent father. But I say that because you can't pour into somebody if you're empty. You have to fill up. And there is a power in no. There's a power in no. When I first, and I'm going to pass the mic out to say this, but when I first lost weight and I got on my fitness journey, people said, how did I do it? They said, I never have the time. I got this, that, third. I got the kids. I got my job, got my spouse, I said, and that's the problem. If out of 24 hours, you can't carve out 1 or 2 hours every day for yourself, who are you living for? You at least need 1 hour a day, a minimum of 1 hour a day to dedicate just to yourself. You have to. Your prayer, gratitude, your meditation, and your workout. And then you worry about getting the kids up, getting them ready, fixing food for the spouse, or going grocery shopping and getting to work on time, all that. But if you don't have time for yourself, because I love what you said, sis, and that's what I tell people, you'd be surprised of what 1 or 2 hours a day could do for your mental and physical health. And that's how I transformed myself, just to get out of that hood mindset, because I was constantly eating chicken from Crown. I would be up late getting drunk. This was the routine in the diet. Hanging out with the folks. We out all night, 3, 4 in the morning. The chicken spot don't close. Go get me 4 center breasts, sweet potato pie, some hot sauce ketchup, a couple of the biscuits, get a soda. I done drunk enough alcohol, eat all that junk, then go lay down, waking up in the middle of the day the next day, feeling groggy because there's no nutritional value in that chicken and fries that I ate, And then since I woke up late, I got to do something. So whether it's pick up the kids, drop them off, whatever, there's no real time for me. So I had to reorganize my life and start thinking, what is adding to my life and what is taking away from my life? And I realized going out every week, and I really used to go out like 3, 4 nights a week. That was a lot of money. That's money that was useful in the house, because alcohol does nothing for you. Nothing. And I had to cut that out. And then that stopped me being drunk in the middle of the night, eating bullshit. You know, it's I don't want to talk about that for too long, but this was the mindset. This is where I used to live in my head, fitting in with the crowd that wasn't really going nowhere.
Yo, me and the community are just having a ball on the Cinebreast because that was the choice.
Yeah, give me the Cinebreast. That's what holding me at. Give me the Cinebreast.
Oh, community, we are on code. We have it down pat. I'm over here tearing up in my glasses. They're about to fog up. No, but Brother Tad, you're right. Like we do.
Sister Marie says, "What's the Cinebreast?"
Oh,
Actually, called the kill. It's called the kill. The center part of the chicken is called the kill. How do I know that? Because as a teenager, I worked for KFC. That's why.
Okay, I never called it a kill. Always called it a Cinebreast. Not the side, because the side you get part of the back. I don't want the side breast. I want the center. All meat, a little skinny bone, piece of cartilage in the middle.
Yeah, in the 80s, when I used to eat Chinese food, we used to get the legs because they was bigger than Brontosaurus legs.
Yeah.
In the 90s, it became about the Cinebreast.
Yeah, our bad diets. You know what I mean? And that contribute to how we feel. You know, we don't realize it because, you know, you got qualitative malnutrition and quantitative malnutrition, and a lot of the junk food we eat turns to junk into our mind. Trans fat, hydrogenated oil, and all that stuff goes to your brain. That goes to your brain. It turns into sludge in the mind. We don't realize it, but it does. It doesn't conduct the electricity through our gray matter very well. And those electric impulses are our thoughts. That's why we think stupid. That's why we think it's cool to show up in court half naked. Just roll out of bed, crusting our eyes, slobbing our beards, and we in front of the judge like, what happened, judge? I don't really want to be here.
Does that go back to the morals and the values that, you know, some people were not in that formation? And sometimes I think, you know, like the churches are trash, right? I'm not going to say anything good about churches, but there was... Listen. We can all say good things about a lot of things, but then in the end, there's a reality that comes out of it long term. But there was something that you had to dress a particular way to go into, and once you knew that this was the command or the commandment of being in this space, you knew how to conform yourself in other places where it is that sacred or reverence of a place. And too many of our people are not in a space where they get righteous information, however broken the righteous information is. Too many of our people are not in these spaces because we're hanging out so much. It's not like when our parents or when we were younger, right? We don't go back into these spaces as older people. And as older people, our children aren't going into these spaces. And now it's our grandchildren that are not going into these spaces. So there's a gap of moral and values and disciplines that is happening within all of our communities. I don't care what type of Black you're looking at, you could find the decrepancy, the degeneracy, you can find it all within all of us. And some people think that they're higher than the other, but no, when you look at your community as a whole, we have the same problem.
Got it. We at half the mark, so we have to move on to our main topic right now. But in playing this clip of the reparations hearing yesterday or the day before, and we're going to move into it because it's very important that we tell the whole story. And I think, well, I know in particularly Pan-Africanists like to romanticize African history, and that is further from the truth. And so tonight I'm going to read 3 short pieces about the Nigerian trade, the trade with the Dahomey and Burkina Faso. And I'm going to follow it up with conclusion of one of our greatest historians. And so I'm going to give you a litany of sources that you all can get this information from, so that you don't say Thorough Black Talk. I'm thinking of Straight Black Pride, but Thorough Black Talk is not making up stuff. And I don't do that. I take research very seriously. I don't play around with it. A wise man once told me on a trip going down to DC, and if anybody has been on a road trip with UAM before, you know how those historical debates can be on those buses. But Trust Graham, who challenged, in my humble opinion, a great historian, Howard Wilbert, peace be upon him, challenged his ideal of the romanticism with African history. And so we're going to get into that. But I want to play this clip of Sister Brooke giving testimony the other day. I hope you all can see it. Hold on.
Up next.
Okay, can I be heard?
Yep, we can hear you.
All right. I'm grateful the speaker today addressed the complex and often overlooked nuances of Black immigration. At one point, that stood out in history of Haitian, French colonial collaborators, individuals who enslaved people in both Haiti and Louisiana, yet today are broadly categorized as Black, including such groups as in Reparations meant for the descendants of American chattel slavery is not just inaccurate, it's unjust. Reparations are not a blanket gesture. They are specific targeted cash remedy compensation for labor stolen and suffered and endured under U.S. chattel slavery. Additional hardships, while real, must be addressed separately. Oh, Lord. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Oh gosh. Separately, reparations must remain rooted in lineage and historical accountability. The speaker also mentioned Irish immigrants who once lived alongside freemen, but where are they now? The Irish rioted to make sure they let white America know they had no camaraderie with us. They've been absorbed into whiteness, benefiting from its privileges, while the descendants of freedmen remain marginalized. Oh my gosh, it keeps losing my place. Remain marginalized. We have also experienced this from other immigrant groups that have come here and have also been absorbed into whiteness or receiving white privileges. If we are serious about historical truth, let's hold a hearing that examines how immigration has impacted foundational Black Americans. Too often, other groups benefit from our movements, ride the wave of our struggle, and then move on, leaving our communities behind. Let's protect the integrity of our fight. Reparations are not just symbolic, they are justice, and they are for the freedmen of the U.S. American system. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Brooke, for that testimony. She was getting hot, because when you go and you see folks who come up who are not from the diaspora and try to give testimony for something else, it's disrespectful. Hold on.
Hello, can you see me?
We can see you and hear you.
Awesome. So my name is Moade Jagusa. I am a Nigerian American. My comment here is that I believe that all of the reparations discussions so far have been talking about things that have happened in the past. I believe that African Americans are owed reparations for ongoing harm that is still continuing today in New York State.
I'm pausing her because she comes to every hearing and she is seriously annoying. As you can see, she said she was Nigerian American. You have no commentary at all. That's number one. Number two, she talks about people in the penal system. Well, if you talk about Black people in the penal system, that includes everybody. That includes everybody. And here's another person with a headscarf tied on her head trying to give testimony on behalf of Black Americans. Again, the disrespect. So let me play this next clip of our brother Divine telling you about the problems when we have labels such as African American or descendants of this, or African descent, how problematic that is, and the illusion of Pan-Africanism. Hold on.
Before we move on, what did you think about his dad being a professor of African studies at Columbia University?
So just to bring it back full circle to our advocacy work, this is kind of what, and I believe you're going to touch on this, I think, in regards to the reparations work here in New York. This is a great example of the failure of the terms African, Africana, African descent. And this is, one of the things that I think I put this online a little while ago. When they say the greatest trick that the devil ever pulled was convincing people that he didn't exist, right? And I think the greatest trick that Pan-Africanism ever pulled was convincing us that Black and African were the same thing.
Right.
And so, because of that trick, we have been lending and giving our Black capital to a continent that has never had a universal identity based on being African or based on being racially Black or based on their melanin.
Right.
And so what we find when you see a daddy Mamdani be able to go to Columbia and be a professor in African studies or Africana studies, it's 100% accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Because African just means an inhabitant or native of the continent of Africa. And so he is African.
Mm-hmm.
So is his son. So is Elon Musk.
Right.
So is all of the racially Black Africans and all of the non-racially Black Africans. They are all African. And so this is what we're finding, and we're seeing what I call one of the master's tools, because you have an Audre Lorde that says the master's tools will never be able to be used to dismantle the master's house. And race and these universal terms that they have pushed onto us that they told us meant race are the master's tools, and we are unraveling that in real time.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the word of the new Black media, where they say white supremacists will always break its tools, understand that foundational Black Americans will always work to break the master's tools, and we're breaking one in real time.
Before we
this was a 5-hour piece that Sister Brooke and Brother Devon did on Zora Mandami. So if you follow her on YouTube, and I hope you do, you can see the whole 5-hour piece on that. But I played all of that because we get a lot of things confused when we talking about history. And so tonight, I hope that I can alleviate some of that confusion. I'm going to widen this for you all, blacking us on the panel out. And so I hope you all can see it. If you can't, just let me know in the chat, and we'll try to make it a little bit larger, okay? And so let's get into it. The Kingdom of Dahomey, located in present-day Benin, West Africa, was one of the most infamous African kingdoms directly involved in the transatlantic slave trade. Its rulers and military became notorious for capturing and selling other Africans, often from rival ethnic groups and neighboring states, to European and American slave traders. Here are the key points about the Dahomey and its role in slavery. The origin and rise. Founded in the early 1600s, Dahomey grew into a central and militaristic state. It became a regional power by conquering weaker surrounding communities. Dahomey's army, which included the famous Dahomey Amazons, an elite all-female military unit, was central to capturing slaves. Raids were launched into nearby villages where men, women, and children were captured, enslaved, and marched to coastal ports. Captives were sold to Europeans at ports like Ouidah, one of the most notorious slave trading hubs in West Africa. The economy and trade. The kingdom's wealth and power depended heavily on the slave trade. Dahomey exchanged enslaved people for guns, gunpowder, alcohol, textiles, and luxury goods. By the 18th century, it had become one of the leading suppliers of enslaved Africans to the Americas. The kings of Dahomey, this is very important, and you'll find out why later. King Agaja, and I hope I'm pronouncing these words and names right. If I'm not, please forgive me. King Agaja, 1708 to 1740, expanded Dahomey through warfare and made slavery central to its economy. King Gezu, 1818 to 1859, resisted European pressure to stop the slave trade, insisting that it was essential for Dahomey's survival. Gezu famously said, "The slave trade is the ruling principle of my people. It is the source and glory of their wealth." What was the source and glory of their wealth? Enslavement. The scale of their involvement. Historians estimate that hundreds of thousands of Africans were enslaved and stole by Dahomey for over 2 centuries. The kingdom's collaboration made it one of the most notorious African participants in the transatlantic slave trade. In the mid-1800s, under growing British pressure to abolish slavery, Dahomey faced naval blockades and economic decline. The French eventually colonized Dahomey in the late 19th century, bringing an end to its independence, and slave-based economy. The Kingdom of Dahomey was not just a victim of the transatlantic slave trade, it was a major perpetrator. Its leaders and armies actively captured, enslaved, and sold Africans for profit, fueling the horror of slavery in the Americas. Now let's break down some of these kings and their trading. Hobadajah, 1645 to 1685, early king who established the foundation of Dahomey's centralized monarchy and began slave trading relations. Akaba, 1685 to 1708, expanded Dahomey's military raids, contributing to the capture and sale of slaves. Agaja, 1708 to 1740, one of the most infamous kings. He built Dahomey into a major slave trading empire by conquering Aleda and Ouidah, both key ports in the trade. Tegbesu, 1740 to 1774, strengthened ties with European slave traders, especially the Portuguese and French. Kambegla, 1774 to 89, continued large-scale slave raids and trade with Europeans. Angoglo, 1789 to 1797, initially tried to reduce dependence on slave trading, but returned to it after resistance. Adadozin, 1797 to 1818, ruled during a period when slave trading intensified before being overthrown. King Gezu, 1880 to 1818 to 1859, famously declared slavery essential to Dahomey's survival, greatly expanded slave raids using Dahomey Amazons. King Glele, 1858 to 1889, continued slave trading even as Europeans tried to suppress it. King Bahanzin, 1889 to 1894, last independent king of Dahomey, still engaged in the slave trade until the French conquest. Other participants, the Megan and Mehu, top ministers of Dahomey, who often negotiated and managed slave trading deals. Merchants of Ouida, local intermediaries, African and Afro-Portuguese, who worked directly with Europeans, such as Francisco Fela de Souza, a Brazilian who partnered with Dahomey's kings and became a chief trader at Ouida. In summary, the main slave traders in Dahomey were its king, Hobadajah through Bahanzin, and their ministers, along with collaborators like Francisco Fela de Souza. The monarchy organized military raids, capturing neighboring peoples, and sold them to Europeans in exchange for guns, liquor, and goods. Now, here are some of my sources. Edna Bay, Slavery, Colonialism, and Economic Growth in Dahomey, 1640 to 1960. Wives of the Leopard, Gender, Politics, and Culture in the Kingdom of Dahomey, University Press of Virginia, 1998. Robin Law, Slave Coast of West Africa, 1550 to 1750, The Impact of the Atlantic Slave Trade on African Society, Oxford University Press, 1991. Stanley Alpern, Amazons of the Black Sparta, The Women Warriors of Dahomey, New York University Press, 1998. And Patrick Manning, Slavery and African Life, Occidental, Oriental, and African Slave Trade, Cambridge University Press, 1990. And here are some other sources. But I want you all to keep this in mind as we go through some things when we get to Nigeria. Let's move to Nigeria. Any questions to the panel before I move on?
Nah, I'm
Okay.
good. I'm good.
Okay. All right, let's keep going then, okay? During the transatlantic slave trade, and we're dealing with Nigeria now. During the transatlantic slave trade, 1500s to 1800, various groups in what is now Nigeria played a major role in capturing, trading, and selling enslaved Africans to European powers. These traders were not a single group, but rather kingdoms, cities, states, and merchant networks that benefited economically and politically from the trade. Excuse my misspellings here. Okay. The Kingdom of the Benin, or the Edo people. Initially, 1400s to 1500s, Benin was involved in the slave trade, but it was more interested in exporting pepper, ivory, and cloth. By the 1600s, under pressure from European demand, some Benin elites allowed limited slave trading. However, the kingdom restricted mass participation to avoid internal destabilization. Eventually, Benin's role declined as it preferred other forms of trade. The Oyo Empire, or the Yoruba people. Some of y'all take these DNA tests and it comes back that you have Yoruba blood. Well, let's get into it. The Oyo Empire, 1600s to the 1800s, was one of the biggest Nigerian powers engaged in the slave trade. Oyo used its powerful cavalry to raid smaller states and communities in the interior, capturing people to sell at coastal ports. Enslaved people were taken mainly through wars, tribute, and punishment of criminals. Oyo traders sold captives to European slavers at ports like Porto Nova and Badagry. And I'm going to show some 1-minute clips of everything that I'm telling y'all after I finish reading. The Arrow Confederacy, or the Igbo people, from the 1600s to the 1800s, the Arrow Confederacy controlled a vast trading network in southeastern Nigeria. They used religion as the Orochukwu oracle as a means of social control. People accused of crimes or cursed by the oracle could be sold into slavery. You know, I find it very interesting that a lot of Africans are upset with President Trump for seizing illegal aliens and sending them to places like Ecuador. But you did the same. Let's continue. The Arrow partnered with coastal middlemen to supply enslaved Africans to European ships at Bonny, Calabar, and other ports. Coastal middlemen like the Efik and Ija traders. The Efik, Old Calabar area, and when I'm saying Calabar or Bonny or Brass or Nimbe, these are ports, okay, so that you all are clear. The Efik controlled much of the cross-river trade. They acted as middlemen between European traders and inland groups like the Arrow. The Efik elite families like the Duke, Iyambe, and Henshaw houses grew wealthy from this system. The Ija, Niger Delta, the Ija traders at Bonny, Brass, and Nimbe became central brokers. They often controlled entire slave markets, collecting high profits from both inland suppliers and European buyers. European partnerships, not raiders, partners. Portuguese, Dutch, British, and French traders relied on Nigerian suppliers to provide captives. Guns, rum, textiles, and manufactured goods were exchanged for enslaved people. For example, in places like Nigeria, they would trade 40 enslaved persons for an umbrella. This is just fact. This created a cycle where Nigerian states raided more communities to obtain captives, feeding the demand. The impact on Nigeria. Millions of people were enslaved from the region. Historians estimate 3 to 4 million Nigerians were exported. Entire communities were depopulated, destabilized, or destroyed. Rivalries and wars increased as slave trading became a primary source of wealth and power. In summary, the major Nigerian players in the slave trade were the Oyo Empire, Arrow Confederacy, Efik of Calabar, Ija of the Niger Delta, and to the lesser degree, the Kingdom of Benin. These groups captured, transported, and sold millions of Africans, often in direct partnership with European traders, making Nigeria one of the largest sources of enslaved people during the transatlantic slave trade. The Efik trading families. Remember, I said these were ports. Old Calabar, Cross River, Bonny, they're all ports. The Efik were middlemen between inland Igbo, Arrow traders, and Europeans. The trade was controlled by powerful Efik houses or dynasties. The Duke House, Duke Ephraim and descendants, one of the richest Efik families, monopolized slave exports in the 17 to 1800s. Iyambe House, King Iyambe V and predecessors, key rulers of Calabar, deeply tied to the slave trade. And so these families were controlling the ports. You had people who were inland who may be upset with family members. Let's say me and Black, we in a relationship and he pissed me off. And I just feel like selling his behind. That's what happened. And so to prevent local people from doing it, they dealt with these middlemen. Okay? Henshaw House, another major Efik family trading in slaves, palm oil, and European goods. The Archibong House, a later Efik family also tied to the commerce. These families created what Europeans call the supercargo system, where they acted as sole brokers, preventing inland groups from trading directly with the Europeans, like I just said. The Ija traders, Niger Delta, Bani, Brass, and Nimbe. The Ija became central to supplying captives from inland wards and arrow networks. King Pebble of Bani, title held by slave trading rulers of Bani. King Pebble I in the 1800s. Chief Okojomo of Bani, the 19th century Bani war chief and trader who rose to power during conflicts with rival factions. King Amarakiri, Nimbe Brass area, notable Ija leader involved in trading captives to Europeans. The Oyo Empire, or the Yoruba, Alafin kings of the Oyo oversaw a system where provincial chiefs conducted raids for captives. The Alafin Abadan ruled 1770 to 1789. Under his reign, Oyo expanded slave raids deep into the interior. The Alafin Ole, 1789 to 1796, continued slave wars before Oyo's decline. Provincial military leaders, Lord, it's a hard one. Ara Ona Kanakkanfu, generals of the Oyo cavalry, were often key figures in organizing slave raids. The Arrow Confederacy, or the Igbo and its allies. The Arrow merchants and priests ran a vast network of feeding captives to Calabar and Bonny. And so these families, what they were doing was being middlemen for traders, and they would bring the captives to the shores to be sold, okay, or wherever, do whatever. The Arachuku, priests of the Ibani and Ukapabi oracle, or the long juju. That's why I don't like using that word juju. That shit always rubbed me the wrong way, and I know why. Spiritual leaders who condemn people to enslavement through ritual trials. Prominent Arrow families included merchant dynasties that operated in Abia, Imo, and parts of Igbo land. Most names were not recorded by Europeans. So that means it was a whole lot more. Excuse me. The Oba Isiji, early 1500s, initiated limited dealings with the Portuguese. The Oba Azulu and Oba Isiji successors traded captives through Benin, preferred ivory and pepper. By the 1600s, Benin reduced its direct participation in the slave trade, focusing on other exports. On the left are all the names of the ports that I mentioned in the above. In the middle, you have these houses, these ruling family dynasties. So you see that. Now let's break into how they did what they did. The Efik houses, Duke Ephraim family, Iyambe, and the Henshaw, and the Archibong. Main port for the Igbo and Arrow captives, Efik families acted as sole middlemen with Europeans. King Pebble dynasty, Chief Okojomo, elite Bani families. Bani became one of the biggest Nigerian slave ports. Internal wars, Manila Pebble versus Annie Pebble factions were tied to slave trade profits. King Amarakiri and Nimbe chiefs controlled the coastal trade, competed with Bani and Calabar, traded directly with Europeans. Local Ija chiefs, later under influence of Bani and Arrow, another key port, rival to Old Calabar. Lagos and Yoruba. See the regions here? Sorry, let me bring that down. The controlling families, let's deal with the Yoruba, became a major slave port in the 17 to 1800s. Lagos, Obas partnered with Portuguese and Brazilian slavers. The Oyo Empire. Oyo military raids supplied captives to Badgery, sold to the Portuguese, British, and the French. Olo and Wari oh God, it's Secretary, excuse me. Woo! Played both sides, traded captives and European goods, often linked with Portuguese merchants. The Obas of Benin had a limited role, initially exported captives in the 1500s, but shifted to ivory and pepper trade in the 1600s. Now, how it all worked? Inland captured those Oyo cavalry, the Arrow Confederacy networks, and the Igbo or the Yoruba wars produced captives. So when they warred with each other, they took their own citizens and sold them into slavery. Middlemen controlled the Efik, Aja, Itsekiri, and Lego elites monopolized ports, preventing inland people from dealing directly with Europeans. European buyers, Portuguese, British, Dutch, and French, bought captives in exchange for guns, textiles, alcohol, and luxury goods. So human beings for these things. Let me move on. By the 17 to 1800s, the biggest Nigerian slave ports were Bonny, supplied millions, top Nigerian port, Old Calabar, controlled the Efik houses, Lagos and Yoruba, a booming hub, especially with the Brazilian and Portuguese buyers. And some sources, Paul E. Lovejoy, Transformation in Slavery, A History of Slavery in Africa, Cambridge University Press, 2012. It details the analysis of the Oyo and Arrow Confederacy and Nigerian coastal slave networks. Kristen Mann, Slavery and the Birth of African City, Lagos 1760 to 1900, Indiana University Press, 2007. Focuses on Lagos slave trade, Obas of Lagos, and Yoruba elite involvement. David Northup, Trade Without Rulers, Pre-Colonial Economic Development in Southeastern Nigeria, Oxford, 1978. Classic study on the Arrow Confederacy and the Calabar Bonny slave trade. Richard Henderson, King and Every Man, Evolutionary Trends of the Inicha Igbo Society and Culture, Yale University Press, 1972. Explores Igbo and Arrow social systems tied to slavery. And you can find all of these books for free on scribe.com. I think my digital I know my digital library is more intense than my physical library. Okay, because I can't hold 2,000 books in here. I just can't. But I'm just telling you, you can get these things for free. Okay. Matt Childs and Toya Falola, Yoruba Diaspora in the Atlantic World, Indiana University Press, 2004. It covers the Oyo Empire, Badagry, and Yoruba coastal slave ports. And there are many journals and papers that you guys can read too. So I'll give you plenty of sources for you to check out. Now, finally, the Burkina Faso area. Let me take a sip of water. I know, a lot of people are championing Ibrahim Traore. And you can do that. I want him to be successful because after we are done with Yorugu here, these white folks here, I'm coming for y'all for my bread. Y'all asses is next. So my champion for him is different than yours. But let's get into it. When you look at the transatlantic slave trade in the region of present-day Burkina Faso, the history is a little different from coastal nations like Ghana, Nigeria, or Benin. Burkina Faso is a landlocked country, and while it did not have direct ports for shipping captives across the Atlantic, its people and kingdoms were deeply involved in the trade as suppliers of enslaved Africans to coastal traders. Burkina Faso, formerly Upper Volta, was situated in the interior of West Africa between the great empires of Mali, Songhai, and later the Ashanti and Dahomey states. Because of its position, it acted as a source region. Captives were taken in raids and wars, then marched southward toward the ports along the Gold Coast, which is Ghana, Slave Coast, Benin and Togo, and even Senegal and Gambia.
Sis,
go ahead.
Is there a new slide for us to look at?
Oh, I'm sorry. No worries. I'm sorry. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sis. Thanks for telling me. Okay. Involved kingdoms and peoples. The Masi kingdoms, the Widogo, the Yatinga, Tingadogo. Excuse me, Lord Jesus. The Masi were among the most powerful groups in the region. They conducted raids into neighboring territories, especially against weaker groups in present-day Niger and Mali, and sold captives to traders. Who are a part of the Sahel Alliance now? Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. Be careful what you champion. However, the Masi were somewhat ambivalent. They resisted full Islamization and sometimes resisted being dominated by larger empires like Mali or Songhai. But they still participated in the trade when profitable. Fulani and Hausa networks. The Fulani jihads, 18th to 19th century, in nearby northern Nigeria and Niger, spilled into Burkina Faso, capturing non-Muslims and selling them into slavery. The Hausa and the Yula traders connected the Masi kingdoms to larger trans-Saharan and Atlantic trade networks. Enslaved people captured in Burkina Faso were usually sent southward toward the coastal ports of Elmina, Cape Coast, and Ouidah. Funny how when people take trips to Ghana, I said this before, there's a reason why they keep taking you to the Elmina slave castles. And historians, and I think we played it on previous shows when we discussed Ghana's role in slavery, said that Black Americans are the only one who shed tears when visiting these places. That's what they said. I don't know. I haven't been, and I have no intentions of going. Northward across the Sahara into North Africa and the Middle East through trans-Saharan trade routes. This made Burkina Faso a feeder zone, supplying human beings to both trans-Saharan and transatlantic systems. Who were the victims? Most of those enslaved were from smaller, less militarized ethnic groups in the region, such as the Bobo, the Gurunzi, the Labi, and others. They were more vulnerable to Masi raids or Fulani jihads. In short, while Burkina Faso had no Atlantic ports, the Masi kingdoms, Fulani, and Hausa traders in the region were heavily involved in capturing and funneling enslaved Africans to coastal areas, where European slave traders brought them. This made Burkina Faso a supplier zone for the wider slave trade, both trans-Saharan and transatlantic. Think recently of all of the countries in Africa or nation states on the continent of Africa offered frivolous apologies, telling you to come home, but bring your resources because we have nothing set up for you. Again, still taking from you. And a lot of you go over willingly, set up businesses, buy homes, whatever. I wonder what some of your ancestors are thinking when you do that. but I digress. These works explain that Burkina Faso's Mossi kingdoms and Fulani and Hausa networks acted as suppliers, funneling captives toward coast and the Sahara, even though the region itself had no direct Atlantic shipping ports. Now, when you look, and you should always, when studying history, in particular region history, you should always use a map when you are doing so. A map and articles of the time, because it gives you a clear picture. We first talked about Ghana and its role. Now we're talking about Nigeria, the Dahomey, and Burkina Faso. They all huddled out of the same region where millions of people were captive and sold into slavery. Now, I don't know about your ancestors, but mine would not agree of forgiveness. The same way we don't forgive the white man. Let's move on. Here are some sources, academic and historical, that is. Kevin Schilling, History of Africa, 3rd edition, Paul Grave Macmillan, 2012. It covers the Mossi kingdoms, their resistance to Islamization, and their involvement in the slave raiding and trade. Paul E. Lovejoy, Transformations in Slavery, A History of Slavery in Africa, Cambridge University Press, 2012, a classic text on the structures of slavery across West Africa, including the Mossi, Hausa, and Fulani networks. Joseph Kazerbo. This is in French. If I get it wrong, Sister Marcia, let me know what it is. I believe it says the history of Black Africa. I think that's what it means.
Yes.
Thank you,
L'Afrique noire. Histoire de l'Afrique noire.
Thank you, Sister Marcia. Written by Burkinabe historian, includes detailed accounts of Mossi kingdoms and their economic systems, including slavery. A History of Africa by Deji Faj provides a broad overview, including how landlocked societies like Burkina Faso contributed to coastal slave exports. Babubakar Barry, Senegambia and the Atlantic slave trade, Cambridge University Press, 1998, focuses on Senegambia because the Gambia was involved as well, but includes interior routes from present-day Burkina Faso that fed captives into coastal networks. So was the Congo. And you wonder why these people in these regions continue to suffer. But I digress. There are many articles as well. Here are a couple of them here. Again, you can find all of these books, not the articles. Some of them I had to pay for. But the books you can find free on scribe.com. Okay? So y'all can go over there and check it out. So, in conclusion, I know people will say, well, those are white sources. Not all of them were. Whatever. Let's go to Dr. Chancellor Williams, shall we? Dr. Chancellor Williams wrote extensively on the rise and fall of Africa. Dr. Williams, in The Destruction of Black Civilization, Great Issues of Race, 4500 BC to 2000 AD, first published in 1971, was very candid about not only external enemies of African people, but also the internal problems and wrongdoings that contributed to Africa's decline. He believed that to truly understand the fall, Africans had to face their own mistakes without excuses. And that's what Dr. Aaron Khanna, former spokesperson of the AU, said. And if I'm lying, Tad could confirm what I'm saying. She said the exact same thing. And those she came with was pissed off with her for saying that. But I'm going to give you 7 quick points from Dr. Chancellor Williams. Fragmentation and disunity. Williams argued that African societies often fail to unite under common leadership or vision, even in the face of external threats. Tribalism and constant wars between neighboring states weakened the continent from within. Instead of consolidating power into strong federation, leaders focused on local control. Here's a quote from him from the book. The African kings, chiefs, and leaders of states had no concept of uniting the African continent, nor even large regions of it. Instead, they wasted their energies in fighting each other as if destroying each other was more important than resisting foreign invaders. Point 2, betrayal in the slave trade. He stressed that the transatlantic and Arab slave trades could not have devastated Africa without African participation. Some rulers, chiefs, and merchants willingly sold Africans for guns, alcohol, and goods, thereby destroying their own society. Isn't that what I read prior? Here's what Dr. Chancellor Williams said they sold you for. He called this a form of racial suicide because it hollowed out entire communities while enriching enemies. He said, and I quote, "The great betrayal of the race was in selling of their own brothers and sisters into slavery. The role of the African chiefs in the slave trades was, without question, the greatest single factor in the decline and fall of the race." Point 3, weak political structures. Many African kingdoms lack systems that could survive beyond a single ruler. After a powerful king died, succession disputes often led to fragmentation, civil wars, and foreign takeover. Unlike some nations that built durable institutions, Williams noted African states too often revolved around personalities. And you still do. He said, and I quote, "The overdependence upon strong leaders meant that when the great ruler died, the state he built usually died with him. No permanent institutions were developed to carry on." And that's across the board. That's across the board. That's why y'all still like Umar, don't you? But anyway, I digress. Number 4, class and exploitation. He observed that the ruling elites frequently exploited the common people instead of strengthening society as a whole. Leaders would hoard wealth, live lavishly, and neglect building infrastructure or defending the nation. This created resentment and weakened internal stability. He said, and I quote, "The ruling classes were too often interested in their own luxury and in fighting rivals for power. They made no plans for welfare of their people as a whole, nor for the long-range security of their states." And let me keep going because I can go on. Number 5, lack of long-term planning. Williams argued that many African leaders focused on short-term gains rather than long-term development and security. The failure to prioritize education, innovation, and defense made African nations vulnerable to foreign powers. He said, and I quote, "It is sheer cowardice to blame all of our problems on others without examining our own weaknesses, our own failures, and our own crimes against ourselves." Number 6, moral corruption. He described how greed, vanity, and betrayal within African societies eroded unity. Once Europeans and Arabs realized they could exploit these weaknesses, they played rival groups against each other. And so, Chancellor Williams insisted that no real liberation or rebuilding could happen unless Africans and descendants abroad admitted these truths about betrayal, tribal wars, lack of unity, and corrupt leadership. He didn't deny destructive roles of Europeans and Arabs, but he believed internal wrongs created the opening for outsiders to dominate it. Get your tribes in order. I know what I speak. Seventh and final point, refusal to learn from the past. Williams emphasized that African history showed repeated cycles of flourishing civilizations that later fell due to the same recurring problems. Yet leaders did not take heed from earlier examples like Egypt, Nubia, or Ghana. And in summary, Dr. Williams didn't blame Africa's downfall only on foreign invaders. He insisted that Africans must accept responsibility for their own role, disunity, and betrayal in the slave trade, weak institutions, and internal corruption. In his view, acknowledging these wrongs was the only way to rebuild self-reliant nations. With that, I am done. And so, family, so everything that we've talked about, everything
where brother Ted at?
Right.
Everything that I said, I am right and exact. I don't just spew rhetoric. I am a researcher and I'm serious about what I do. Get your goddamn tribes in order. Do not tell FBA what we should be doing. We are holding our own. Get in our tribe in order. The rest of you cocksuckers, stop riding our coattails and do what the hell you're supposed to do. As the great attorney Charles Hamilton Houston said, either you're a social engineer or a social parasite. Where do you stand? With that, I yield to the panel. Any thoughts and commentary?
I'll shout you out, Sister Keisha. Thank you for the wealth and breadth of information. Thank you for doing the study for us and presenting it in a fashion that we ourselves can reshare information with facts and bullet points as you have given us. I'll say this. We are amongst traders amongst ourselves. You know, this goes from the continent to Haiti, because my people are from Haiti, to the US. And anywhere else where people feel that capitalism or colonialism is the better way for their development or involvement in certain things. And so it's a really sad state that one of the 7 deadly sins, greed, captures us all the time. And to your fact that we must hold our own communities accountable for the atrocities that has happened, we must do that. And we must stand strong in doing it, because, you know, even through this whole thing that's happening online right now, you'll hear people saying the most craziest things. And I'm like, why? Why are you like, you know, I shared this with you. Like, why is the sister calling herself a nigga? If you are here in America and you understand
from the Caribbean, that's what she kept saying. Go ahead, Sister Marcia.
Right. And you understand the plight of people, you want to be calling yourself the N-word or anyone else because you understand the deep-seated meaning. So you're negating the deep-seated meaning and you're like, oh, well, everybody just calls each other the N-word now. No, you cannot continue the degeneracy of people. People are doing it, fine. But if you were in your homeland and whatever degenerate word would be, you wouldn't be wanted to be called that, then you don't call yourself the degenerate word from the country that you're living in at this moment, because you understand the pain that comes with it. So I'll just say this, that thank you for the information.
Let me just play these clips real quick I like what Brother Devon said. This is why I adamantly say you don't get to sell me and mine twice. That's why the delineation and disaggregation. Our ancestors are waking us the hell up while the rest of you trying to play catch up with old rhetoric and wonder why it's not working. That's why. But let me play these and we'll come right back.
Weren't just victims of slavery, they were masterminds behind it. Dahomey warriors captured and sold over 2 million of their own people into slavery. Most history books won't tell you this brutal truth. The Dahomey kingdom wasn't just another African nation. It was the Amazon warrior kingdom that built an empire through selling humans. Their elite female soldiers would raid villages at night, capturing men, women, and children. The kingdom's economy depended on trading slaves to Europeans. They even had annual ceremonies where they sacrificed hundreds of captives. Centuries later, their descendants still grapple with this dark legacy. Makes you wonder how different African history could have been without this kingdom's role in the slave trade.
Here are the top African places that were involved in slave trade. Number 1, the Kingdom of Dahomey, which is now modern-day Benin. Number 2, Morocco, which is still Morocco. Number 3, Ottoman Algeria, which is now Algeria. 4, Egypt. 5, Kanem Bornu, which is modern-day Cameroon. 6, the Kingdom of Alada, which is now modern-day Southern Benin. 7, Aro Confederacy, which is now modern-day southeastern Nigeria. 8, Ashanti Empire, modern-day Ghana. 9, the Shanghai Empire, modern-day Western Africa. And finally, Mali Empire, modern-day Mali.
How were slaves captured in Africa during the transatlantic slave trade? Slaves were captured through various means, often involving violence. Common methods of capturing slaves included raids and warfare. Slave traders would organize raids or participate in wars to capture individuals from rival ethnic groups. These raids often involved surprise attacks, resulting in the capture of men, women, and children who were then forcibly taken into slavery. Kidnapping. Individuals would be kidnapped by slave raiders. Kidnapping was particularly prevalent in areas where slave trade routes passed through. Intertribal warfare. Rival African tribes would engage in warfare specifically to capture individuals. This created a cycle of violence and instability in many regions, with slavery becoming a lucrative incentive for conflict. The method of capturing slaves were often brutal and exploitative, leading to the forced enslavement of millions of Africans and the devastating impact on communities and societies across the continent.
Welcome once again. Okay. Here are the real chain shackles used on our forefathers during the period of slave trade. Like I said outside, Badagry was known to be a slave corridor. And there are 2 major slave coasts in Nigeria then, Badagry and Calabar. Any slaves captured from the eastern Nigeria were usually taken down to Calabar, while slaves from the Oyo Empire were brought down to Badagry. Okay. Slaves were not being captured from Badagry. They were brought from the hinterland. So our forefathers in Badagry were middlemen between the white and the black. They buy slaves from their fellow black, they resell to the white men. This business lasted for about 350 to 400 years here in Badagry. It was abolished by the help of the man buried here, Chief Sumbu Mobi. The father of the man buried here was also into the trade. Badagry then has 8 quarters. 6 out of the 8 quarters were dealing with one country or the other. We have the British, the Dutch, the French, the Portuguese coming to buy slaves in Badagry. So
from the 15th to the 19th centuries, Nigeria's coastal areas became a hub of the transatlantic slave trade. Millions were ripped from their homes, shackled, and shipped to the Americas. Families were torn apart, cultures erased, and communities shattered. The impact was catastrophic. The echoes of this dark history still resonate today, shaping identities and societies. The scars run deep, reminding us of the resilience of those who suffered. Understanding this past is crucial for healing and progress. Dive deeper into this story. Like and subscribe for more insights into history that shapes our world today.
I'm gonna pause that one because I don't want to get a strike for playing the music. But just so y'all see, you know, even those museum or tour guides, they mention the exact ports that I read about. And so it's there if you want to go and visit. You can visit those museums, but I'm good on this end. I can read. And you know, I've had enough. I really had enough of people grandstanding on these social media spaces. I think the other night I was in a space where 45,000 people were in this space. And they were all discussing FBA lineage in the worst way. But you don't look at yourselves. Right now, today, women are being beat on the street in a lot of these countries. Children are still being sold to the Arabs today. Today. And you want to negate that. And so for all of you who move abroad, if that is your wish, please do so. But I want you to keep in the back of your mind, if shit goes awry, will they sell you and yours again? That's a question you have to ask yourself. I yield there. My brothers and my sisters, any final thoughts and commentary? If not, let's get the people up out of here.
I'm going to go first tonight. I'm going to say again, thank you, Sister Keisha, for this information, for the research, for your time and giving back to us. The reciprocity is here with all of us that are here and everyone that's going to listen later on. I'm going to say this, that, my people were sold. My people landed on the shores of Haiti. But one thing that I will say is that they used the information of the Dahomeys and fought back. So I want to thank Toya for giving us the military science in Haiti. I wish for all of us who are descendants to request the doors to open for that information to share with our brothers and sisters so that we can truly defeat the colonizer wherever we stand. I want to say, remember that Malcolm X was assassinated in front of his wife, pregnant wife, with babies under 10 years old. And I want you to study. Sister Keisha is presenting us with lots of information, but it's about us gathering information and synthesizing that information for ourselves. Because once you can reinterpret the information for yourself, you can be a blessing to not only your household, but to the community. So I will beg of you to study, research, understand things, because you cannot rely on myself, Sister Keisha, Brother Black, Brother Todd, to only provide you with information. You have to be brave enough to study the information. I will thank everyone here, everyone who's listening, and everyone who will forever listen to our words and to study. And if time may not flourish, make it flourish. Fight with it. Make it do what it got to do for you and your family. Be selfish. First, start being selfish for you, and then move forward. Brother Black?
Peace, sister. That was very beautiful and profound. I thank you for that. Thank you, Sister Keisha. Once again, I've been educated on things I never knew before, and it's very much appreciated. Wow, another. You came back with the ruckus this week for missing last week, so that's what's up. I love it. Real quick, I'm not gonna be here too long. I know we over time right now. Look out for the ish. I mean, whatever you consider the ish, the side stuff, the distractions, we are in a very crucial time. We're so deep into this right now that we don't even acknowledge that in the back, behind the scenes, there's a financial reset going on and a lot of things that are going to change everything about this nation. and the world for that matter. I don't know what's going on with the things I used to talk about often, like Jasara and Nasara, but the news is still coming out about what's to happen. We know we've been hearing about a space invasion, and that could be another reason why they're placing troops in these cities, because every city they talk about, even if they're known for high crime, the crime is down because the generation that was doing the most, up till maybe COVID, are now probably over the age where they out there in the streets active. They might have young G's out there, or YNs they call them now, doing their thing out there, but they're no longer active. And so it's the young generation that took over, and it's very few of them. So we just got to keep our head on the swivel, know that, if you want to equate this to anything, it's a war, and that includes COVID and all the crime and the psyops and everything. We can't look at war like World War I and II and Civil War and all that with battle lines and all that. We have to look at it's a war on the people, and white people are suffering too, and we're seeing it on the internet because they're complaining about some of the things that they had to suffer as a result of the dude that they voted for, that I agree with for the most part. And not to say no names, so nobody got to react to that. So other than that, check me on melaninstitute.blogspot.com. I got books for sale. Y'all can friend me as Basil Medina on Facebook if you wish to, and I'll tag you more than likely, or at least you'll see some of my some things on my timeline on my blog and so on and so forth. As well, I'm on the Ethereal Journey podcast Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. With that said, I love y'all. We're going to see y'all next week on this bridge, and we're going to get it in like we always get it in, and then we're going to fit it in. Brother Tad, much love.
All right.
Peace.
All right.
Before Brother Tad go in, because you mentioned the crime stats. And see, we don't play over here on Thorough Black Talk. We will pull some shit up on your ass. Now you look at the crime stats. White is the gray area. Black, of course, is us and others. And even these numbers are distorted. Because when they say black, they include everybody. Caribbean, African, everybody with dark skin who ain't speaking a Spanish language. So the numbers are even lower. And this is why delineation and aggregation, and I have to give a shout out to the U.S. Freedmen Project, presenting a bill to the state legislature to make it so. We are tired of being dragged down with everybody else. So when it comes to murder and manslaughter, the white folks is leading the charge. When it comes to grape, the white folks is leading the charge. Robbery, black folks is leading the charge. Aggravated assault, the white folks is leading the charge. And these are FBI 2023 numbers. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Can I just chime in real quick? I'm sorry, Brother Tad. When you say robbery, right, and how black folks are leading the charge, that also would, match up with the data that you gave us, right? Because they robbed us of our land and gave us to other people, right? So they were robbing us from the time. Robbery is probably...
Wait, sis.
You said everyone is lumped in.
Robert, you're right. You said robbery of the white folks who took land and all that, right?
No, I'm talking about robbery, meaning black folks, wherever they were on the continent, robbed us and sold us.
Right.
So that's why I say, like, the numbers are skewed because they may be in that bucket of robbing till this day.
I get you. Brother Tad, your final thoughts and commentary.
Well, sis, I just want to give you your props on that super dope presentation you gave us, particularly when you talked about what goes on in Ghana. I haven't been to Ghana since 2020, but I do know Ghana and Burkina Faso don't see eye to eye, just based on the conversation I had with the Ghanaians, as well as the conversations they have about Nigerians.
People are not on the ground. People are not with the common people, so they don't know that these conversations happen. I do agree. They do say, come back home, but bring your resources. We from Brooklyn. We see things different. Like, why I got to bring my stuff to you if you're supposed to be sorry for what you did to me? But that's a whole nother conversation. But family, hopefully you were inspired by something you heard here tonight. It's your turn to go out and inspire others. Don't forget to catch me and my brother C Gutter every Sunday at 2 p.m. on the OG Wisdom podcast. All right. So I'm getting ready to kick off my fitness channel soon, Sister Keisha. I'm just giving y'all family a heads up. To be a little bit more of me talk about fitness and stuff like that, you know, for those who do want to get in shape. I've been getting a lot of questions about that. So get ready to kick that off. So family, y'all stay up, stay blessed, stay true. And remember, no matter how hard things may seem right now, there are always better days ahead. Sister Keisha.
Thank you, Brother Tad. And if you missed the OG Wisdom's last broadcast with educator Marcus Klein, one of the things Marcus Klein talked about, one of his biggest problems when it came to starting his school was these pro-Black Pan-Africanists talking that talk, doing the same old bull crap that is irrelevant and destructive. You are the problem. But we've come to the end of our broadcast. If you want to see your final thoughts and commentary in the chat, highlight it at the end of the show. Put it in the chat. We'll highlight as we get out of here. So I want y'all to enjoy yourselves, love on yourselves, take care of yourselves, because time, as Sister says, make time flourish in every way that you possibly can. With that, I yield. Y'all have a good rest of the week. We are out.
On the Brooklyn Bridge tonight, voices strong, knowledge tight, thorough black talk in the air, changing minds, changing flair. From Brother Tad to Sister K, warriors got things to say. Sister Marcy brings the heat, Brother Blacksmith keeps the beat. Revolutionary waves, they fly underneath the open sky. Every word's a call to fight. Tune in, feel the ancestral light. Thursday nights the world will see Black Power media on a spree. Facebook, YouTube all aligned, breaking free from every bind. Social talk and politics, every voice breaks through the matrix. Commentary raw and true, for the many, not the few. Revolutionary waves, they fly underneath the open sky. Every word's a call to fight. Tune in, feel the ancestral light. Social talk and politics, every voice breaks through the matrix. Commentary raw and true, for the many, not the few. Revolutionary waves, they